Prepare yourself for invasion. This is Indie Invasion.
Nice. I just noticed with you upstairs, it kind of looks like you're in a spaceship.
It kind of does. I was worried that it was too dark. I'm using the same lights, but I turned it away from me, so I'm bouncing it off the wall.
Yeah, no, I think it's good. Hey, there's Ron. What's happening, Ron?
What's up, Ron? Gold star, gold star.
Gold star, first person, first comment. Hello. Yeah, so sorry we're a little bit late. Eric and I were jacking our jaws there.
Yeah, we got the chit-chatting.
Yeah, I got the beginning there. Tonio, the man, the myth, the painting legend right there. Yeah, so, well, what the heck's been going on, man? Me and you have hardly even texted this week.
We've been some busy guys.
Yeah, well, everybody knows, and everybody that's going to be listening has my back. See, it's holidays, and it's cold up there, and you're delivering. It's warm down here. You'd probably be delivering just as much, but the weather's nicer.
Yeah, that's only going to keep getting worse and worse as the weeks go until
it was 81 here today.
Yeah. Yeah, I got 45 I looked.
I told the kids on the way home from school, I was like, man, I got to take the doors back off the Jeep. It's hot.
Man, I just got it so I can get the wife's car in the garage.
Oh no. Oh, look. Oh, Ron's painting some centaurs for his Forces of Nature for Kings of War.
I want to see those, Ron. I want to see those on the Discord.
Yeah, me too. Those look good. You definitely want to see those. Alder said, good morning, gents. New time and we switched sides. Oh, no.
Oh,
have we switched sides?
He called us out.
Oh.
There we go.
Oh, there you go.
Except now I feel like I got to face this way.
Right. It is. I'm not even facing the right way because it's not mirrored. You can't even do that. It's so confusing.
I got to do some adjusting.
Oh, there's Spaz too on a different platform. So that's cool. So yeah. Morning, Alder. Hello, sir. So, look, there's Bob.
Wow.
Bob hadn't been on in a while. Good to see you, buddy. What have you been working on, Eric, besides making that comic book room look so nice?
Well, I worked on the stuff that we did last week a little bit, the painting stuff. Almost got the, let's see if I can reach one. Almost got the orcs done. I mean, I got like his belt to do. In the base, of course. So he's getting there. I'm
pretty sure I have that exact one.
Yeah, from the Shadespire.
Yeah.
So I've been doing that, and I think I fiddled a little bit with some of the MDF terrain. That I have so much of it that it's like I've been kind of not even looking at the new stuff coming out by Black Site because I'm like, I have a lot. And I know the problem is I know I have more coming because once that new stuff for Don't Look Back comes, I know I ordered some. So. Oh
yeah, I'm still waiting on my Demon Ship stuff. It hasn't even shipped. I don't know if there's like a backlog of it or something.
Maybe.
I'm not in a terribly big hurry for it, but I was just surprised. I was on Black Site looking today at some of the some more of the Night Haven buildings because I had all of them, but I'm missing like 2 or 3. I'm missing the gatehouse and the tavern, and that might be the only ones that I'm missing, but I am missing them. So I'll tell you what about those Shadespire orcs, though. I hate those integrated bases.
Yeah, it seems like all the Shadespire stuff is like that because it's like the snap fit, right?
Yeah, and like some of their feet are molded into the base because I did mine for Mordheim, so I didn't put them on clear bases. Relax, everyone. But I did put them on square Mordheim bases, so I had to cut them off of those, and I had to, basically had to snip out around one of the dude's feet. So it was just a pain. Okay, Ron's got an important question for you.
Oh boy, I was gonna bring him up, Ron. I can reach him too.
Yeah. Is Dormammu done yet? You didn't even put a brush on him again, did you?
Nope, I didn't even put a brush. I'm afraid. What can I say?
Well, I have been. The only thing I've been doing is basing. I haven't done anything else. That's it.
Yeah, it's weird to hear you talk about basing.
Listen, I used to base all the time. I used to do real extensive bases, and my main character models were practically dioramas on their bases, especially when 40K was started doing some of the really larger bases. I was really doing that, but I got all my Dickensians done. Except for Fagin, because he's broken. I'm waiting for an arm to come in. Pete said he was going to send me an arm. So I have one little tiny piece of resin about this big coming all the way from Australia. And then I'm almost done with my Scions. I've got, let's see, I got 2 guys left. I saw that. I'm the real one. I'm going to post pictures. I actually have a game of Twisted tomorrow. So my buddy typically uses the Scions. He hasn't the last couple times, but he might use them. And like I said, I've got all of them rebased except for, who do I not have? The Scarab, Mummy, and the Hound Master. Those are the only 2 I don't have rebased.
I was going to ask you tonight, have you looked at, I'm looking for it in my phone right now, the Kickstarter for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Other Strangeness? I know Terrence was looking at it. I can't remember who else. I have not pulled the trigger yet on it. And
I still have my book.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, I know I could get the original if I really want it. I don't want to wait a year for this.
Yeah, you know? I mean, I still have my book, so I mean, I don't need the new one.
I mean, it looks nice. They cleaned it up. They
right.
Cleaned up some of the rules and stuff like that, the wording, and they have some really neat special editions.
Right.
But like I said, I don't know if I want to give them money and then wait for a year.
Yeah, I mean, I like the game. It's a Palladium rule set. Yeah, and I played Palladium so much. I don't care if the wording of the rules isn't very good. I've played it so much that I've FAQ'd it for 30 plus years. So I don't need the rules clarified. And I like the artwork that's on the book because that particular one, like I saw the cover for the new one, and yeah, it looks really nice. But the old one looks a whole lot more gritty. Like the original black and white Ninja Turtles comic.
Well, the only thing that's kind of drawn me in, let me see if I can get this on here. They're doing a special like black, white, and red edition.
Okay,
that looks pretty sweet, kind of reminiscent of the old stuff where it was all black and white, just with hints of red here and there.
Red. It was the red. The blood was red, and their masks were red.
Yeah. So I don't know. I might just wait. Like I said, it's just waiting a year after you basically invest, because that's what it is. It's investing, and there's no guarantee. We've seen that already with some of the stuff that has been on Kickstarter. I hate to mention it, but the Monpox stuff that was kickstarted 2 years ago, we have no clue. Right. It's in limbo. So
now, Planet Bound was the same thing, my cousin's game, but now it's not in limbo though. He stays in touch at least. And that's at least. I still don't like the idea of waiting so long, but I think we've said this a million times with the Kickstarters. If you're going to be delayed, you got to be talking to the people. Because if you're talking to people are generally like, okay, that's fine, whatever. Life happens, blah, blah, blah. But as long
as a monthly update.
Yeah, that's fine. I think as long as you stay in communication. But Well, I guess that I don't know. This is a horrible segue to get into what we're talking about,
but probably get into it. Yeah,
I can pretend like it's a good one, even though it's a terrible segue. But hold on, I had to check. My old deaf blind dog is down here. He's pushing stuff around with his face. So, yeah. So yeah, Bob says Palladium crashed and burned with their Robotech Kickstarter a few years ago. I recall that. I didn't do Kickstarter, but I remember seeing the Robotech box set on, the $90 box set on Miniature Market for $20 because it crashed so badly. Heard the models were awful to put together, that they were super fiddly. But anyway, that is not my biggest hobby regret. Palladium.
Yeah. What are we talking about tonight?
I think we're talking about, at least according to the title, we're talking about biggest hobby regrets. Or maybe you don't have any, and if you don't have any, well, kudos to you, and you are our idol.
I'm sure everybody's got at least one little regret. So I was going to ask you to kick this off, and maybe it'll stir up my juices where I can think of something.
Well, I have several small ones, but probably my biggest regret is getting rid of my Night Lords army.
That's fair.
There's no doubt in my mind that I still wouldn't be playing 40K because I just have zero interest. Not even picking on 40K. I don't have any interest in a larger scale game. I just don't. I don't care if it's World War I, World War II, just none of it. Bob posted some stuff. I'm gonna get to some of those kind of regrets. I'll be getting to some of those. But as far as one that really I think resonates with me the most is that. And the reason being is because I had written a background story, I had written several short stories, and I had 8,000 points of Night Lords, and no joke, every single model was customized. Even if it was just as simple as I had ordered from, I think it was Puppets War is who I had ordered the shoulder pads from, but I had every single one of them had a specific Night Lord helmet and a specific Night Lord shoulder pad at the very least.
And that was a lot back then. That was a lot to do. That kind of thing back in the day, because
that one was
special order that stuff, right?
I definitely did. And Puppets War is somewhere in the EU. I don't know where, and the only reason I know that's because it's puppetswar.eu, and it took forever to get stuff. But yeah, literally every single model was customized in some way. My dreadnoughts, I had not within that 8,000 points, but complementary to that 8,000 points, I had Imperial Guard because I still have the Horus Heresy books where the Guard were actually part of the Space Marine Legions. So they were like a division of it. So I had a small 1,000 points of Night Lords Imperial Guard that went along with it. Same thing, all customized in some way, shape, or form.
I think that's a lot of time. I think that's why I can't get rid of my old Warhammer Fantasy. I got the Chaos, a huge, because I got the big army box that, I spent all that time painting them, and that's all custom type painting stuff and basing. And I think I still have my Tomb Kings, and I have all my vampire stuff. I can't get rid of that stuff because of all that time investment. And some of it I got just to paint because it was a cool mini. I didn't play them. I just thought it was a neat, maybe, character or, just a couple small groups of guys or something like that. So, I don't want to get rid of them and then regret it,
Yeah, that was the thing. But the thing is I at least sold him to a guy that I knew wanted to play him. I had played, I don't know if I had played against him or if he had just been over when we were playing. But he loved the army. So I gave him a really good price on it. I just wanted to move it because I was getting into skirmish games. Alder says, not knowing about Twisted earlier to joining the original Kickstarter. Yeah, me too. I started out using Twisted models in Deep Wars because they were the only other steampunk models I could find to go along with. I got my Deep Wars stuff right here. See, that's what happens when you move stuff around. See, I got my Deep Wars stuff. Look at there. There's some
nice and organized.
Ancients of Adelon right there. Oh, look, I'm going to break everything.
That could have been a regret right there.
That could have been a regret right there. That would have been that one, a regret. That would have been a regret. That would have been so bad it was a regret spelled wrong. But yeah, that was the same thing for me for Twisted. So did that get the juices going? Did you got one?
Tell me another one. What?
Okay. So another one is, I wish that. So I'm gonna piggyback on Bob's here because I was single. I was in the military. I lived on base, so I wasn't paying a whole lot for anything. So he was regretting Mordheim and Battlefleet Gothic. Now, Bob, I still have my Battlefleet Gothic. I got it right up there on the shelf. The boxes seen better days, but I still have it.
And didn't you find a bunch of stuff for 3D printing for
free?
Yeah.
The funny thing about my first regret there is I printed a whole Night Lords fleet. So I still love my Night Lords. I just don't have them anymore. But so I had Gorka Morka. I had the First Blood Bowl. I had Man of War. I had Space Hulk with the little plastic ugly Terminators with the little clip-on flamer that they had. Of all of those, I wish I still had Man of War. That was a really fun naval
hard to
game.
Find now.
Oh, you can find it, but I remember one time we were talking about throwback games. Yeah, and it was crazy. So I kind of regret getting rid of those. And that was a financial thing for me. I was getting out of the service. I was moving back east. And I couldn't take it all. I mean, I sold my orcs. I sold my fantasy orcs. I sold my fantasy empire army, my fantasy undead army.
Wow.
Yeah. I sold a bunch of.
I think there's a lot of people in the gaming world that have that specific regret where it comes to money. It's like they just can't keep funneling that money into a certain game or faction or something like that. So they kind of they're forced to walk away from it. And, sometimes you can get back into it, like whether you find an army on eBay or a buddy selling it at a local store or something like that. But yeah, I can understand that one.
Tony says offering to paint the Germans. Now I have a regret that runs there too, and that was this again. Apparently, all of my regrets are tied to my Night Lords somehow. When I first started painting them, I was like, "Oh, I'm going to look up a video on how to paint lightning."
You opened up Pandora box.
I did. I was like, so that I can paint. I want to paint lightning on a couple of shoulder pads, just my main characters though. That was what I thought. And then I did it and I was like, wow, this is a really easy technique. Like I'm not that good and this looks really good. So the next thing you know, 8,000 points later and 500 shoulder pads later. And you can't just do a shoulder pad because then it looks tacky, right? Mm-hmm. You got to have one dude who his leg armor has some lightning on it or something like that. So, I'm with you on that one too, Ron. All of the early Warhammer stationed in England. Yeah, when you could really get it. It was really hard to get in the States.
Yeah, at that time.
Yeah, it was really hard to get. And anybody who's prior military, and so Ron will get this one. Man, if you were a gamer and you were active duty, you wanted to get stationed in England at least once. So you could go over there and you could just stock up on everything. Yeah, same thing for me too. I love the game, but spending money on stupid stuff because you were young and stupid in the military.
Yeah. You didn't have anything else better to spend it on. And
yeah, you didn't. Yeah. I was alcohol and and miniatures is what it was for me. I don't know what else you were doing wrong that you shouldn't have been doing, but that's what I was doing.
Yeah, I think so. Just thinking about it a little bit, most of my regrets were about buying something that they were like impulse buys, and
Right.
then I end up not doing anything with them. So they end up just sitting. So in a way, sometimes in a hobby, you get that. We've used this term before, that FOMO, where fear of missing out. Like you see it and it's like, oh, that looks cool, and you buy everything.
Yeah.
And then you maybe tinker with one little thing, and then it just kind of goes in a closet or somewhere or a shelf. And then I think the only other regret I can think off the top of my head is not taking care of my paint better back in the day and having those little things dry out, and you custom mix something up and then it's like, oh, I can't remake it again.
Oh man, yeah. But I don't think I really had regrets about that, like any of my paints or anything. I was struggling with those. I was spending too much money on the miniatures. I had 3 or 4 bottles of paint, so my orcs and my Imperial Guard and there were some pretty basic colors that ran across. There was a theme going on there, sort of an unintended theme that was going on there. But I don't have a whole lot of hobby regrets. I've had people ask me before about me getting rid of terrain. And having hobby regrets.
And I can understand that as a regret. You spend a lot of time to create it and stuff.
But I don't. I really don't with the terrain. And it's because I like passing it on to other people. Now, I would like to have a couple of my earliest pieces just to compare them to what I build now. And I would like to have like a model that I painted back when I was first painting with the old white Hester's brush. Yeah. Just as a comparison. I told my son, Nate, who will be 30, he was repainting his Necrons. That was his first army when I introduced him to 40K when he was like 18. And I said, leave one of them. Just leave one of them alone. You can rebase him. You can do whatever you want, but leave the paint job. Because one day you'll look back on him and you'll be like, wow, look at how far I've come in my painting. And you'll have a real comparison.
Yeah, and I think one of the things, like you talk about terrain, I for you, it's the hobby is just creating the terrain itself. Yeah. So it's easier for you to let it go and pass it on to somebody. Just the fact that terrain for some people is kind of a hard thing to do in the hobby. And then like you talk about the painting thing, something that pops up into my head and probably easier to do now with technology is take pictures of them, make like a little catalog that you can eventually look through past 10 years of different projects that you worked on. So if you do end up, passing it on or selling it for money or whatever, you can still have some kind of momentum memento of looking back on it, type of thing.
Somewhere out there in internet land, I have my internet fame is out there. And this is my internet fame. My son sent this to me about 2 years ago. Still have minis painted in the late 70s for D&D. You, sir, are a legend just because you still have them. But there's this picture out there, and I can describe it to you perfectly because it's my table. And I do my industrial ladders. I go by hair curlers. I think you've seen me make them before. I buy hair curlers at the Dollar Tree and cut them out so that I can piece them together and have all of these industrial ladders that I can put on the terrain. Well, way back, probably, hey, shush. Sorry, that's my senile dog. Nothing I can do about it. Yeah, he can't hear me. He can't see me, so he's just going to bark. There's nothing I can do about it. But there's a picture. It's my gaming table. It's my latex Zuzzy mat, my Captain America coffee cup, and those on there. And I don't know, it's just out there circulating in internet land of how to do industrial ladders.
Yeah. Bob said his Wild West Exodus stuff just showed up as a Facebook memory, and he's still happy with how those came out.
Nice. I'm pretty happy with my Wild West Exodus stuff too. I was a little too heavy on the washes at the time, like to the point where dirty.
Yeah.
The overly dirty effect with no cleaning up of the wash. But I still like the way that the majority of them look. I'm not repainting them.
I went through so much browns and ochres and
that is straight up not happening. I have so many Wild West Exodus. So for those who didn't know me in the Wild West Exodus days, what I had in Wild West Exodus was like what I have in Twisted. I had everything. The only thing I didn't have was the train. I never got a hold of the train.
Yeah.
I'm notorious for missing the first Kickstarter on something.
Yeah, I missed out on the first one on that one too. Yeah. I got in on the second one. That's when I discovered it. And I had this bad habit of when people jumped out of the game, they would give me their stuff. And I'm like, do you want this? I'm like, yeah, I'll take it. Yeah. So I have 3-4 different, groupings of the same factions. Half of it's not painted type of thing. I don't know why I did it. I couldn't let it go.
Yep. So Ron, I'm glad that you knew what a Zuzzy mat was. Yeah, the company is completely gone. But the mats were great. I loved the mats. It was a dude in his garage, and he had these 6x4 frames built, and he would pour, and he had sculpted so that so I have the alien planet, the desert, and the city. So like the city one is asphalt, but it's got these sections where the asphalt is broken away and there's brick underneath it. Okay. And he would just pour this thin layer of latex, like a latex Halloween mask, just this thin layer of latex on top of it, and then peel it out, and that was your game mat.
Oh wow! Okay.
And I still have my mats, and they're pretty cool. Now when you pull them out, it's just like opening that Halloween box that has all the latex masks in it, and you're like, "Whoo, man, that is ripe."
Oh, I would love that. You know me and the weird smells. I would like that.
So that is exactly what it smells like. And I've had my Zuzzy mats for probably 20 years.
Man.
And they still smell like that. What Tonio say? Bought so many of those, we just cut them up to make smaller mats and zones. Did you buy a bunch of Zuzzy mats? I did cut my city one. I cut my city one down into a couple of different mats. But my alien one, I actually painted up as a desert for Wild West Exodus. So I just did it in those shades of brown and stuff because the texture was really good. Oh wow, man, that's solid gold right there. Tonio says their small group, they have over a dozen.
Wow, they went all gangbusters on it.
I still think that they're great mats. Like I think they store more easily than the neoprene mats. If you fold them, they don't.
You don't have the crease.
No, you do, but once you lay it out, it settles down really easily because it's just a really thin piece of latex. It's not, it doesn't rip easy or anything, but it's a very thin piece of latex. I'll post some pictures sometime this week. I don't think I have one on the table. Maybe we'll use one for a game tomorrow. Oh, got a bunch stolen at a convention. Yeah, well, that doesn't surprise me. They're good mats. Wow, that is cool.
No. Well, do you have any more hobby regrets? I could probably say one more really quick, and it has to do with painting techniques. I regret not diving more into new techniques to try out stuff. One right off the top of my head is I've used this technique before, airbrush, but I've never used it in miniatures painting. And so that's kind of one of my regrets is that I just haven't taken that dive in.
I don't mind that with my airbrush. I use my airbrush to keep dust off the floor in the spot where it sits. It keeps the dust from getting on the floor. So you get on top of my airbrush. So That's what my airbrush does.
Oh man,
unfortunately, but yeah. So I don't think I have a whole lot of.
They're like little things, right? That's kind of what we're talking about. They're all like little regrets. I think the biggest one would be, like you said early on, getting rid of stuff that you spent a lot of time on.
Yeah, but I'm also of the mindset, if I haven't used something in a couple of years, I don't
That's
want
true.
it. I don't really do that with my terrain. Like, I'll keep terrain for a long time, but I'll get to a point where I'll tell everybody in our gaming community here, which isn't very many people, so I can't really do it anymore because they're like, Mac, I don't have anywhere else to keep any more terrain. I don't have a basement just to game in like you do. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but do you want some terrain anyway? So
you might have to just start going to conventions with tubs and just leave them.
I know.
Oh man.
Yeah. So yeah, and then people give me stuff too. Greg Farrell, he gave me a bunch of terrain, and I bought some stuff from. See you later, Alder. Have a good one, buddy. My buddy Neil, who makes a bunch of 40K terrain, he'll give me stuff. He usually gives me terrain building stuff though, and then he brings a bunch of stuff up, and then for the next 2 days I go on a binge building.
Here's a good point that Bob brings up to end out some of the suggestions here. He says, instead of FOMO, fear of pulling the trigger and missing Grail games like Queen's Gambit from Star Wars. Yeah, it's one of those things, Bob, though, that if you knew back then, you'd probably be all in. But you probably didn't know that it was going to be as hot and big as it was. Yeah. I mean, that's just the way it happens. And fortunately, stuff like that, if you miss out on it, you usually can go back and revisit it as long as it's not too pricey.
Yeah.
That one is one of those ones, unfortunately, though.
Yeah. Yep. So I don't really have any really big regrets.
It's all fun, right? It's you all do it for fun.
Yeah. I mean, even if I end up buying something that is like, okay,
yeah,
I'll always find something to pull out of it and use and incorporate.
That's what you got to do. You got to look at, did you get your value out of it?
Yeah, whether it's another game or terrain. Yeah, that's a good point, Bob. You think those games will be around until they aren't. Yeah. That's just like my saying for County Road Z. It's easy until it's not.
Yeah.
So, well, I think that's all we got for tonight, folks. I don't know about you, but I'm ready to do a hobby night again because
you're all geared up, huh?
I am, man. I'm doing stuff and I haven't been. I've been so busy, I just haven't had time to. So I haven't done a whole lot. Like I said, I've just been doing basing, but still,
it's something.
It's something. All right, whose turn is it to take us out? Because we were. I don't
honestly cannot remember.
All right, well, you click and I'll do it, and then I'll hit the video at the end. So, guys, thanks for joining us for another lovely Thursday night from Australia to Canada and everywhere in between.
Everywhere in between, yep.
No matter which direction you go. Thanks for joining us. Fastest 30-ish minutes in wargaming. That was for you, Todd, even though we haven't seen you in a while. Join us every Thursday night where we're going to talk about all kinds of good stuff. I think we even already have a topic for next week that we're ready to talk about. And check us out on all of the podcast platforms, Podbean, iTunes, YouTube, blah, 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 all them places. Don't forget to smash the like button, the bell button on YouTube so you can see when we post something new. Check us out on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter and especially Discord. Drop us an email at indieinvasion@gmail.com if you want to tell us about a game. And the Discord is Ron's got some great pictures of his Kings of War stuff he just posted today. Goes out. Especially love the paint job on the air elementals. Ron, fantastic job. Never seen a paint job in my whole life. Go check them out. You'll see what I'm talking about, and then you'll be in on the joke. Don't forget to go over to Redbubble if you'd like to support us, or more importantly, if you just want to get some cool merch like a hat or a hoodie. I know Eric said the same thing that I did. I was surprised at the quality of the hoodie. I was really expecting overpriced and not very good, but it's a pretty good hoodie. So I liked it. Anyway, folks. Oh yeah, that's true. So yeah, Ron, we'll do that next hobby night. We'll do one where folks can join in if they have a camera and stuff set up.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've done that, but
yeah, we'll definitely do that. So remember, guys, when you're out there rebasing your models from clear bases to regular bases, just because Alder's been picking on you for years. No, just kidding, Alder. Don't forget to prepare yourself for the invasion.